Now at 6, an Uber driver learns his punishment after a deadly road rage shooting.
Plus, what we're learning about a move by Portland's leaders to quadruple a settlement with families displaced by years of development.
So when you cause the harm and you admit guilt, you have to do more.
Then, how a local sheriff is calling for new rules so unprepared hikers don't eat into the county's budget.
And we're just entering what we would consider our busy season.
And later, the fight to keep the last historic brick building in this Oregon town from being knocked down.
To preserve our history and to honor those who have gone before us.
Well, welcome to the weekend with a live look at the Rose City in the middle of Fleet Week and Rose Festival with kayakers and paddleboarders out on the river. 82 degrees, that is the air temperature. Water about 67 with things set to get even warmer over the next few days as we head into what we're calling a weather impact alert.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino, who has the latest on what we can expect. Matt, inching closer to that hot weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure, Christine. You know, I've been ramping up really since yesterday. Today we got up to 85. Tomorrow will be around 90. So weather impact alert for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but especially Sunday and Monday. Those will be the hottest days. It's a moderate heat risk. We've seen hotter weather. We'll be close to record zone. In fact, I think we'll tie the record on both Sunday and Monday. So what you need to think about is staying hydrated and not overexerting yourself if you can help it during the heat of the day on all 3 days. Now, the heat advisory begins Sunday morning, continues until Monday night. We'll get some cooling coming into the western side of the state on Monday night and into Tuesday, but for eastern Oregon and eastern Washington, the heat advisory here continues until Tuesday night. It's going to take longer for the hot weather to get pushed eastward from those regions. So yes, it's going to be hot region-wide, basically from Eugene up to Bellingham. We've got that heat advisory. It's our first 90-degree heat of the year. It's about 10 days earlier than average. The average first date is June 17th, so we're going to do it probably tomorrow, June 7th. The current records for Sunday and Monday, I think, will likely be tied. 94 Sunday, 95 on Monday, and 100-degree heat possible parts of the Eastern Gorge and the Columbia Basin. So yeah, it's going to be cooking this weekend, guys.
It sounds like it. Okay, thanks, Matt. Meantime, Multnomah County health officials say they are keeping a close eye on the weekend warm-up, but the forecasted temperatures do not meet the county's threshold to open cooling shelters. But since this is the first hot day of the year, they're warning everyone to take it seriously this weekend.
That means none of our bodies are really acclimated to the hot temperatures yet. So we're all vulnerable. We should all take steps to prevent heat illness.
And you heard Matt say it too, things like staying hydrated, getting things like yard work done, for instance, early in the day, checking in on friends, neighbors, loved ones who are more vulnerable to the heat. If you're cooling off in a local river as well, also remember some are still running pretty fast and could be unsafe for inexperienced swimmers.
To breaking news now, and a teacher with the Gresham Barlow School District under arrest, accused of online child sex crimes. Authorities say 36-year-old Oscar Ramirez had lewd sexual conversations online, then agreed to meet with a 13-year-old when her parents were not at home. It turns out the Bothell police near Seattle were on the other end of that conversation, running an undercover sting. When authorities learned Ramirez was a high school teacher, they notified the district, which placed him on leave. The suspect was indicted by a grand jury on Tuesday for luring a minor in online sexual corruption of a child. We'll keep you updated on this as we learn more. In an update tonight, a Multnomah County judge has sentenced an Uber driver who shot and killed one man and wounded a witness to life in prison with the possibility of parole.
Kyle Aboshi was at today's sentencing and is in the newsroom with the details. Kyle.
The victim's family shared emotional testimony during today's sentencing. They described the victim, Ryan Martin, as a loving father, devoted husband, and dear friend.
A Multnomah County judge sentenced Jeffrey Hammond to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. In May, a jury found Hammond guilty of second-degree murder and attempted murder. Prosecutors claimed Hammond shot 47-year-old Ryan Martin after a brief confrontation in downtown Portland in October of 2023. Hammond was working as an Uber driver when he pulled up to the Moxie Hotel. Surveillance video showed the two men interact for just a few seconds before Hammond shot Martin. Martin died at the scene. He was unarmed. A few moments later, Hammond shot another man who was recording the incident on his cell phone. He survived. Hammond later told police it was self-defense. At sentencing, the victim's family asked the judge to give Hammond the maximum sentence.
Some things cannot be fixed, and this is one of them. What I've learned the hard way far too young, is that there is immense pain in this world caused by people like you.
The victims' families spoke of their loss. Ryan Martin was a musician, a skilled electrician, and youth sports coach.
No matter what the outcome is today, our family will walk out of here without Ryan in our lives. But at least people have some comfort knowing that the person that not only took our Ryan Earl Martin will be where he deserves, but that no one else will suffer the loss our family has.
Hammond declined to testify during today's sentencing hearing.
Kyle Boshi in the newsroom. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that follow-up.
In tonight's headlines, a local teenager just appeared in court and pleaded not guilty to planning a mass shooting at a local mall. The 14-year-old faces 4 felony charges, including attempted murder. The Columbia County teen allegedly targeted the Three Rivers Mall in Kelso. Authorities say they searched his home and seized 3 guns, ammunition, and 4 knives. Today, a judge decided he'll stay in juvenile custody at least until his next court hearing. That'll be later this month.
A Multnomah County jury has convicted a man of murder stemming from a deadly shooting near the East Bank Esplanade. In May 2022, prosecutors say 28-year-old Wyatt Belcher shot and killed Ash Smith during a drum circle event in a parking lot. They say Smith did not know Belcher and was just sitting in the area at the time. Belcher faces a mandatory minimum of life in prison with a chance of parole after 25 years.
A Salem motorcyclist is dead after a crash with a car. It happened last night at Lancaster Drive Southeast and Glenwood Drive. Investigators believe the motorcyclist, 33-year-old Jesse Wadley, was speeding right before the crash. The driver in the other car was not hurt, but a passenger was taken to the hospital.
And for the second time in a week, immigration agents have detained an asylum seeker in Portland right after a court hearing. That's according to a nonprofit legal group fighting on their behalf. Innovation Law Lab says the 24-year-old man from Newport, a Mexican national, was arrested yesterday in the lobby of Portland's immigration court immediately after ICE attorneys moved to dismiss his asylum case. It is the same method used when agents arrested a transgender woman who says she fled sexual assault and death threats in Mexico. That woman is in detention in Tacoma. The whereabouts of the latest detainee are unclear.
And in a traffic alert tonight, between Rose Festival events and the warm weather, we are expecting a lot of people downtown this weekend. And of course, just in time, there will also be some major road closures too for maintenance. Starting at 9 tonight, southbound OR 217 will be closed from Canyon Road to 99W in Tigard. It'll stay closed until around 5 o'clock Monday morning. And on Sunday, the westbound lanes of I-84 will close between I-205 and I-5. That starts at midnight and lasts until 4 Sunday afternoon.
We're following up this evening after Portland leaders took unprecedented action approving millions in reparations for some black residents who were forced out of the Albina neighborhood decades ago.
Our John Adams is live at Portland City Hall. John, you spoke with the city councilor who led the charge, resulting in a payout that more than quadrupled.
That's right. City Councilor Loretta Smith hopes the $8.5 million will make up for at least some of the generational wealth lost out on by those families that were forced out of the Albina neighborhood. Now, around 300 black families lost their homes in Albina beginning in the 1960s, taken through eminent domain that made way for projects like Legacy Emmanuel Hospital. Council was originally slated to vote on a settlement of $2 million, but Councilor Smith led a mid-session charge to increase the payout amount, which was unanimously approved by council. It will go to 26 black residents and descendants that were removed from Albina. This makes the city of Portland one of the first cities in the United States to settle a lawsuit based on past discriminatory urban development practices. Councilor Smith calls it a step in the right direction.
It didn't go far enough, but what it was, we sent a stronger signal that this was important, that this was necessary.
Legacy Emmanuel Hospital was also part of this lawsuit, but they settled for an undisclosed amount back in 2024. David, Christine, back to you.
Those families and others, I'm sure, are waiting for a long time to hear this. Thank you, John.
It's been insane. 400% increase and this has been a trend all year.
The Skamania County Sheriff says a spike in search and rescue missions is causing a strain on her county.
Now we're headed into peak hiking time and being outside, right? She says she's now considering a fine specifically for people who aren't prepared, who need to be rescued. Devin Haskins has more.
The sheriff says she's in the process of writing up an ordinance that would fine those unprepared hikers if they need rescued. But she also said that she is aware that this could cause people to not call 911 if there is a fear of a fine. She said that's why it would come with a big messaging campaign, as well as signs in the county and at the trailheads. Hikers agree the Columbia River Gorge is a place to escape.
I love hiking. I think it's a great way to kind of get out and reflect and have like a calm afternoon.
But on the trails, she's seen more and more people showing up unprepared.
No water, no backpack, that sort of thing.
Other hikers agree, saying they've seen hikers out in flip-flops and without a plan.
Not necessarily really prepared. They don't have layering, so if all of a sudden weather comes in, they may not be prepared.
And it's that kind of recklessness or negligence,
it's been insane,
that has Skamania County Sheriff Summer Shire fed up.
It's watching people be extremely irresponsible.
She says in the month of May, search and rescue crews saw a 400% increase versus last May and a 550% increase in the first quarter, when it should have been their slow season.
We are at 30 search and rescues to date, and we're just entering what we would consider our busy season.
She says about 7 of the 10 rescues last month were due to negligent or careless behavior, and that it's costing the county
numerous hours, rope systems to set up. It's really very much a strain.
A strain on a county that's largely public land with little tax base to support emergency services.
The problem is tourism is great for our local businesses, but it is a huge strain on public safety and emergency services.
Shire is drafting an ordinance to cite hikers who need rescued that put themselves in danger and come unprepared.
We will have to find another way, or people are going to be out there for much, much longer than they are waiting now.
She says she doesn't know how much the fines would be. That's still part of the process of writing up the ordinance. And when she's done, that still needs to go before the county commissioners before it's approved. In Skamania County, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
On this week's Straight Talk, a conversation with the executive editor of The Oregonian, who is set to retire after decades in the industry. Therese Bottomley has led the paper since 2018 and is retiring in August. Here's part of the conversation about how she's handled the changing digital landscape and, when it comes to media, growing mistrust.
I always try to challenge readers when they complain about the media and say, let's talk about what we're really talking about here. There is a big difference between a local news organization covering a community with local reporters who have expertise versus what you might see on a national network, and especially a national network that blends fact-based reporting with commentary.
Good point there. On a personal note, I've always enjoyed partnering with Therese and team for our political debates. We'll miss her. You can watch the full episode of Straight Talk Saturday or Sunday evening at 6:30 and again Monday at 7 or anytime on our free TV app, KGW+.